Well, Donald Trump finally got indicted, and I'm interested in watching the fallout from that indictment, particularly on the Republican side, and and particularly with well, it's not just that the base. The Republicans, I can't call them maggots anymore because my friend Mike won't let me do that. So I'm going to take a page out of Prince's book. You remember Prince referred to himself as the artist formerly known as Prince. Well, these are the Trump supporters formerly known as maggots. So the reaction among the formerly known as maggots, that's anticipated. We expected that. They're all rallying to his support. And I'm not talking now about Republican politicians. I'm talking about rank and file Republicans. Those people who put the Republican politicians in positions of power. They're all up in arms. This is a horrible thing. This is one administration that's running for re-election. Joe Biden is, with no basis whatsoever, bringing criminal charges against Donald Trump because he's his political opponent. And that's the story, and they're sticking to it. And these people really believe that. There's no doubt in my mind that they actually really believe that. And you can see if your predisposition is to ignore facts and be motivated entirely by your political philosophy, you can easily reach that conclusion. Say, well, this is a president of the United States, or his Justice Department, which is under his control. He can fire the Attorney General. And it's that Justice Department, even though they've appointed a special prosecutor, these are niceties that don't concern these people. His Justice Department is going after criminally his opponent, his likely opponent in the election. And that's all they see. Now, people criticize me sometimes because I criticize Republicans, primarily Republicans. I'm pretty critical of Democrats too, but primarily Republicans, because they're not fact oriented. I've been trying cases for over half a century, and that's my entire makeup is to look at facts. I don't jump to conclusions without facts. Now, facts can be different for different people. We don't always know what the facts are. Facts can lead themselves to different conclusions. Of course, I know that because I've been trying cases for so many years. But facts are you're starting out. If you're an honest person, you should start out with trying to know what the facts are. And the facts in this case, i.e. the allegations, haven't even been laid out. We know some of them are, but they haven't been laid out. And now we've got all these Republican politicians, primarily congressmen, some senators, some people running for the presidency, and does not include Chris Christie, who came right out after Donald Trump, as well he should, and he gets a round of applause from me. But DeSantis is over here saying, "Oh yeah, this is terrible. This is the Justice Department playing politics and going after da. Same nonsense." So my concern is two. First of all, the media has got to stop talking about classification and taking secret or top secret or classified documents. The person who put his finger right on that issue was Bill Barr. Last time I looked, Bill Barr was a Republican. Last time I looked, Bill Barr had been Attorney General. Last time I looked, Bill Barr was appointed by Donald Trump. Last time I looked, Bill Barr had been pretty, up until the end when he couldn't take it anymore, was working in lockstep with Trump. Bill Barr said the right thing, and for some reason the media doesn't pick up on it. Nobody seems to pick up on it. They should just go back and quote Bill Barr. What Bill Barr said was, this is not about how documents are classified. And the reason that's a smokescreen is because Trump says, look, the president can declassify anything. Now, there's procedures for declassification, which everybody has followed, and Trump didn't follow any of those. But nonetheless, it has a certain ring to it. I'm the president. There's nothing in the Constitution or in the law which says how I have to go about declassifying things. I can declassify them in my own mind. I have the right as president to simply choose to treat documents as declassified. Now, declassification, tricky term, if it's classified, he can still look at it, whether it's classified or not classified. He can still look at it. But classification has to do with whether or not other people can look at it. Classification or declassification has to do with whether or not he's entitled to take those documents in the first place. And a number of people have gone to jail for taking classified documents. So it is an issue, but it's not the central issue. The central issue is those documents are the property of the people of the United States. They're not Donald Trump's personal property. And when he takes home documents that are related to his job as president, he's supposed to turn those over to the National Archives because they're not his property, regardless of how they're classified. That's the key issue right there. He took property which was not his. And a particular concern is he apparently took home documents, which we'll have to wait and see the indictment to know for sure, but it sounds as though he was charged, and I'm basing this on the search warrant, he was charged with taking home documents relating to national security, that if those documents fell into the wrong hands or were seen by other people, they could compromise the security of the United States. In particular, I believe there was a tape talking about a plan to invade Iran. And if that document exists, and apparently they haven't been able to find it, but we have him talking about it on tape recording, then that's a document that he had no right to have in his personal property. And he's charged, and that's a violation of the Espionage Act. And one of the charges we know is violation of the Espionage Act. That's where the focus should be, and the media should be talking about that instead of talking about, well, what did he have a right to classify them or declassify them? Because a lot of people are going to think, well, why couldn't he declassify them? But nobody has made the argument that he has a right to take home and keep at his residence documents which relate to national security. No one is making that argument. But the only one who's really pointed that out forcefully is Bill Barr. And maybe the media just won't quote him because he's Bill Barr, a prominent Republican. I don't know what the issue is, but I've heard him loud and clear, and he's right on that. So, getting back to this whole issue of the response of the Republicans. These people, particularly congressmen and senators, but echoing what the people formerly known as maggots believe, is that Donald Trump is being unfairly persecuted by being prosecuted for whatever the reason. And they're not interested in the facts because none of us have seen at this point in time the actual indictment. None of us have seen what the 7 counts are, which 7 counts could be a lot more than 7 charges, because you can have a whole bunch of charges in each count. None of us have seen those. So they won't even wait for that because they want to rush out there with their story. And it's like, that's just pure politics. And it's these people playing to their base. The problem they have is, I look at these polls. Now, a lot of times polls are kind of useless. The polls indicated the Republicans were going to sweep the House and sweep the Senate and sweep the governorships last time around, and they didn't. So you got to be careful of polls. But they're showing, polls are showing that the Republican rank and file overwhelmingly support Donald Trump in this whole issue. But that's not true of the people who make decisions in these elections these days, are the independents. They're not the Democrats, they're not the Republicans, they're the independents. And overwhelmingly, independents are saying, according to all the polls I've seen, that what Donald Trump did was wrong and that he should be prosecuted. And as more information comes out, I think you're going to find that not only is that the percentage of independents saying they're going to increase, but their intensity is going to increase. But right now, you've got well over 50% of the overall population of the country, because of independents, saying that Donald Trump did something wrong and he should be prosecuted. And by getting behind Donald Trump, Republicans, by getting so strongly behind him, they're almost for sure, regardless of who the nominee ends up being, and it may not be Donald Trump, he may be forced out by all of these criminal charges. But regardless of who it is, they're really tarnishing the brand of the Republican Party. And you couple that with what's going on with abortion, which is, their position is also extremely unpopular. I'm not saying anything about the merits of it. I'm just saying their view is extremely unpopular with independents. They're going to lose independence forever. And if they do that, that party is basically going to go the way of the Whig Party, which incidentally Jamie Raskin is wearing a wig, but I don't want to get into that. It's not important. The Whig Party disappeared. It was replaced by the Republican Party, which was a much more, in those days, a much more liberal version of the Whigs. But we don't need to go back to, Abraham Lincoln and before. So now I'm babbling, so you don't need to hear me babble. I do that all the time anyway. But that's the bottom line is, let's wait and see how this plays out. This is going to be interesting. It's maybe one of the most interesting things that's happened in this country in a long time.